All right. Welcome. Welcome to today's Advent meditation. And thank you yesterday for your understanding. I was on the plane. I made it to the funeral and memorial and life celebration, which meant the world to me. Today's topic is imagination. And you'll see in the follow up when you receive the recording that I put imagination and memory, because imagination is rooted in the limbic system. It's considered to be rooted in the hippocampus, which is not far from the pineal gland. And I think that you would probably agree with me, and it's okay if you don't, that when we're children and when we're with children, children are oftentimes fascinated with imagining things and are encouraged to imagine things. So adults will celebrate what a child imagines, encourage it, tap into the joy that comes from imagining. And yet, when we get older, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes in our society, we're discouraged from imagination. Imagination is considered a detriment to being real. It's actually, I've heard it many, many, many times positioned. Imagination, it means you're not in reality, which is a massive deterrent to realizing that imagination is part of our growth and process into wholeness. It is essential. It's an essential ingredient to our coming into wholeness. So today we're going to do something with the imagination. It's actually very grounded. It's not completely like some of the imagination meditations that we do. But I want to say a little bit more about imagination so that we can evoke within ourselves a bit of curiosity about it. Some of this research you probably know, maybe you don't know at all, but when imagination has been tested, research has shown that it actually increases the neural connections within the body and the mind. So let's say you're imagining the ability to play the piano and you've never played a note in your life. If you imagine and really put yourself into it with your emotions and your focus, you will build neural connections that will make your fingers more capable of playing the piano. This is practical research that is showing us this. However, what I am most fascinated with today, because that's one aspect of the research that's fascinating and worthy of our attention, is that imagination being rooted in the hippocampus is considered the flip side of memory. Isn't that fascinating? So memory seems very concrete. When we have a memory, I remember when this happened to me. It seems very solid. And yet imagination and memory are like partners in the hippocampus. So they are actually there and working together to increase our connection with ourselves and with reality. And I find that quite fascinating that they are partners. When imagination and when the role of the hippocampus has been studied, I hate to say it, in mice, what has been noted is that imagination connects from memory, that it has some connection with something that is part of our past. So that's our stepping stone. So imagination comes from something in our past. So instead of being completely unrelated to ourselves, it's actually intimately coming from something that we would say is part of our history. And what plays out with the role of imagination is it moves us into theta brain waves. And if you've ever studied theta brain waves, those are the brain waves that are optimal when you are in deep states like trance and some levels of meditation. Now, what happens here in the hippocampus is something called place cells. And when they've studied it in mice, when they are activating the hippocampus, these place cells provide an anchor for the mouse and translated to us for our place in the world. So imagination and memory are integral to an experience, not just an understanding of our actual place in the world. And it's keyed into three movements that happen: the past, the present moment, and the possibility of the future. So these place cells are holding in the present moment all three. And this is recorded as they have researched mice and subsequently human behavior and the action of the hippocampus. So when we look at imagination, we have the opportunity to see that it's not taking us away from reality, that it's actually activating a deeper experience of belonging. Isn't that fascinating? And as research has gone even further, there is activity in the hippocampus that happens from these place cells, that spontaneous activity that's separate from the physical, that's not coming from environment that we call the physical realm for past, present, or future. So something with the imagination and these place cells and the action of memory is rooted and understood from research. We know this in spirituality. I can translate that into spiritual methodology, but I'm looking at it scientifically here so that we build some bridges in our understanding. It's rooted in something that is a spontaneous response to something independent of our environment. So hopefully this bolsters your curiosity in the role that imagination can play in your own personal growth and your own connectivity with a sense of belonging in this world. Belonging in this world. To add a little breadth and depth to that, I want to read a poem that you are probably quite familiar with. And in fact, at the memorial that I was at last night, the child, it's a they, the child Aurora quoted part of this poem as being a takeaway of the inspiration of his dad that passed just a couple weeks ago. It's Wild Geese by Mary Oliver, and it speaks to what we're talking about here. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Doesn't that poem pull it all together? Touching in on the childlike quality that exists within ourselves in the form of imagination. as an integral part to our awakening, and offering us the practical understanding that this limbic system, that the hippocampus role is to assist us in knowing that we belong, and in knowing how we belong and where we belong. Let's not discard imagination as a childish activity, but open to it as a recovery and a remembering of the childlike portal that is right within us. So today's meditation, we've done oftentimes meditations that evoke the use of imagination, but I want to utilize a different form of the imagination this time. And you may or may not find it easy. And that's okay. That's why we're here, is we're being curious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move out of the screen in a moment, and I'm going to hold this candle. And our meditation is going to be looking upon the flame and just simply letting our focus relax into the flame. Among the many ways that we can activate the limbic system, the pineal gland, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and all the rest, the increasing of the cerebral spinal fluid, is to let our gaze drop into a focus that's not harsh and not grabbing at it, but rather just being with and letting the object of the focus lead us on, if you will. So I'm going to invite you through a bit of guidance to let yourself focus in here. And as you focus in on the flame, there'll be a little bit of guidance to let the imagination open up to the experience of the interconnectedness that happens with the flame, and then simply open up to the experience of the flame, however it moves you. And again, I'll be moving out of screen here when we do this. All right. So I invite you to just find, if you took a few notes, let's set your pen down. Let's see if I can actually set this down and not have to hold it, just so you don't chance seeing my hands in the focus. Right. And when you're ready, close your eyes. We're going to begin with our eyes closed, even though we're going to open our eyes. And with your eyes closed, you saw a little vision of the flame. Conjure up the flame in your imagination. Let yourself see the flame. And if you can, in your imagination, let go of anything that might be a distraction to your focus. And in your imagination, just key into the flame. If you will, be with the flame that's presenting itself in your mind's eye. And then when you're ready, very slowly open your eyes and notice the flame before you. You can see sunlight shining right upon the candle. But see if you can focus in on the flame itself. It's not doing a lot of movement, which is a-okay. And I too am gazing upon this flame. Relax more and more as you let your eyes take in the flame itself. If you need to or are inclined, you can let the breath magnify your ability to connect to the flame. We're going to be in the silence a bit together. And I know that as you're focusing in on the flame, you're beginning to notice a bit of variance. It's very subtle movement. You can even notice the energy being given off around the flame. Let's begin here and let yourself, from this imaginative place, let the flame be alive to you. Almost like the flame is personified. It's here with you as a friend and companion. Let's be in the silence with that. Stay with it. If you have a moment of distraction or moving away from being here with just you and the flame, just simply return, remembering Mary Oliver's words that you don't have to be good. Return again. The world offers itself to you into your imagination and opening up to receive this offering awakens you to your place in the family of things. You have a place in the family of things. Become aware, let the imagination awaken your awareness that all who are meditating, whether it's on this live call, whether it's on their own time, that we are like energetic spokes connected in this flame. Awaken to this reality that there is a place in the family of things for all of us to experience a connection as we meditate. And this flame reveals this interconnection. And as we have heard in an inspired text we call the Bible, we have a true utterance where two or three are gathered in the name of the divine. The divine is present. And therefore, all, whether known or unknown, knowingly or unknowingly, all are participating in this moment of connection. And you are here in your place in the family of things, holding the portal, standing in the portal. As part of the flame that reminds us why we are alive. And we begin to end this experience. When you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes, but allowing your memory and your imagination, that now that we have emphasized how connected they are, to keep the vision of the flame. And in the silence with your eyes closed, allow whatever positive sentiment or heavy sentiment, whatever is there for you right now. For remember, Mary Oliver knows you do not have to be good. Whatever is there, let it come forward and be held and seen by you, just as you would hold a child. When you're ready, open your eyes. Great to be with you all. Have a great day.